Thailand attracts millions of travelers every year with its beautiful beaches, incredible food, rich culture, and affordable lifestyle. Yet after arriving, some people quickly begin complaining about the country's rules.
Why do I need to report where I'm staying? Why can't I work while I'm here without the proper authorization? Why did I get fined for riding a motorbike? Why are there restrictions on buying alcohol at certain times?
Comments like these are quite common, and for many these rules can feel surprising, even a little frustrating when you're just trying to enjoy your trip. But here's something interesting to consider. If these very same rules or similar versions existed in your home country, would they still seem unreasonable? Often we find they wouldn't. Many of the regulations people encounter abroad have similar counterparts in Western countries and elsewhere around the world. The difference isn't always the law itself. More often, it's a matter of perspective and adjusting to an unfamiliar legal and cultural system. In this video, we're going to explore some common regulations travelers encounter in Thailand, compare them with similar practices around the world, and understand why the same kind of rule can feel perfectly normal at home, but perhaps a bit unexpected or even inconvenient somewhere new. This isn't about dismissing anyone's frustrations, nor is it about saying Thailand is without its unique challenges. It's about gaining a broader understanding. Let's dive in.
Many people ask, why can't I just stay wherever I want without reporting it? If you've never encountered a requirement like this before, it's completely understandable why it might seem unusual at first. One thing that surprises some people staying in Thailand for an extended period is that their place of residence may need to be reported to immigration authorities. At first, it can feel unnecessary, and the immediate question is often, why does the government need to know where I'm staying? Here's the interesting part. Many countries have systems for tracking where international visitors are staying. Hotels routinely collect passport information, and in some places, visitors staying for longer periods are expected to register their address with local authorities. The difference is that in many places, these procedures often happen behind the scenes and are rarely noticed by visitors. In Thailand, however, they become more visible, especially for those staying longer or applying for a visa extension, where residence details are expected to be properly reported. If a host or accommodation provider does not submit the required information, visitors may later be asked to provide it themselves. Ultimately, the goal remains the same: maintaining accurate visitor records and supporting immigration administration. And that's only one example. Spend enough time abroad, and a whole series of similar questions begins to appear.
Another question that comes up more and more is, if the job is online, why does it matter where the laptop is? It's an understandable question. After all, if the employer is overseas and the work isn't for a local company, it might seem like local employment rules shouldn't apply. However, immigration systems around the world generally distinguish between simply visiting and actively working within their borders. The exact definition of work varies from country to country, and those rules continue to evolve. The important takeaway is that remote work isn't automatically permitted just because the employer is based somewhere else. Wherever you're traveling, it's always wise to check your visa conditions before assuming you're allowed to work remotely.
Many visitors also ask, why the fine for riding a motorbike? Thailand's motorbike culture is one of the best ways to explore the country. But sometimes visitors ride without the correct license, an international driving permit when required, or enough riding experience. When a fine is issued, the reaction can be, this only happens in Thailand. But imagine the opposite situation. If someone visited your home country, rented a motorcycle without the proper license, and expected local traffic laws not to apply, most people would probably agree that enforcement is reasonable. Thailand's roads are busy, and road safety remains a serious concern. Licensing requirements exist for the same reason they do in many other countries, to help protect everyone on the road.
Another common question is, why can't alcohol be sold whenever people want to buy it? To someone unfamiliar with the local rules, restrictions on alcohol sales can seem unnecessary, yet many countries regulate alcohol in one way or another. Some prohibit late-night sales, others limit sales on Sundays or public holidays. Local licensing rules and regional restrictions are also common. The details may differ, but the underlying idea is familiar. Governments regulate alcohol sales for reasons related to public order and public health. Knowing the local rules simply helps avoid an unexpected inconvenience.
Those thinking about staying longer sometimes wonder, why can't land be purchased as easily as back home? Property ownership is another area where expectations often meet different legal systems. Thailand is far from unique in placing restrictions on land ownership by non-citizens. Around the world, many countries require special approvals, legal structures, residency qualifications, or additional taxes before foreign nationals can purchase certain types of property. Every country develops its property laws according to its own history, economy, and national priorities. Different doesn't necessarily mean unusual. It simply reflects a country's right to decide how land ownership is managed.
Another question people sometimes ask is, why all the immigration checks? Some travelers feel uncomfortable when asked to show travel documents or verify their immigration status, but this is a normal part of international travel. Around the world, visitors are expected to follow local immigration laws, respect the conditions of their visas, and carry the necessary travel documents. Every country has the sovereign right to decide who enters, how long visitors may stay, and under what conditions. Thailand simply follows the same principle.
Then there are the everyday frustrations. What's the harm in making a little noise or enjoying a late night? Some visitors are surprised when hotels, apartment buildings, or local authorities respond to excessive noise or disruptive behavior. Yet communities around the world have rules designed to protect residents from unnecessary disturbances. Noise complaints, public nuisance laws, and regulations intended to maintain public order exist in nearly every country. The way they're enforced may differ, but the goal is much the same everywhere: balancing individual freedom with respect for everyone else.
And finally, the often repeated question, why can't I get a visa extension or navigate these immigration processes without so much hassle? Perhaps one of the most frequently discussed aspects of international travel involves immigration procedures, visa extensions, length of stay limits, financial documentation, reporting requirements. For many, these can seem unnecessarily complicated. However, immigration systems around the world involve documentation and established procedures. Anyone traveling internationally is expected to comply with the immigration laws and entry requirements of the country they are visiting. Thailand is no exception. Every country establishes rules for tourism, employment, retirement, education, and long-term residence as part of managing its borders and immigration system. These administrative frameworks are a normal function of government around the world. After looking at all these examples, a more interesting question begins to emerge. Why do rules that seem perfectly ordinary at home suddenly feel so different when experienced abroad?
Often, it truly comes down to our perspective. When we're living in our home country, many of these rules simply don't directly apply to us. We rarely think about visas, permission to stay, or work authorization, because those requirements are usually designed for visitors, not for citizens. Because these comprehensive systems rarely affect us personally, we simply take our position as citizens for granted. Then we travel abroad, and suddenly, we are the ones navigating immigration procedures, visa conditions, residency requirements, and local regulations. Rules that local residents hardly notice can feel unfamiliar, or even inconvenient, simply because we're experiencing them for the first time.
Being on vacation can also shape our expectations. Many people associate travel with freedom and relaxation, not with paperwork or regulations. So, when legal requirements interrupt that experience, it's easy to view them as excessive. Social media can sometimes amplify this, focusing on a single frustrating experience without explaining the broader context or how similar systems operate elsewhere. This isn't to say every criticism is unwarranted. Some administrative processes could certainly be smoother, and clarity could always be improved. Every country has areas for development, but many of the surprising rules we encounter in Thailand are, in fact, variations of rules that exist across much of the world. The difference is simply that we often only notice them after becoming visitors ourselves. Then there's a broader question many people ask. If rules exist, why do some people seem to get away with bending them? And why isn't the system more consistent?
It's important to know that not every complaint is unfair. Government processes can be slow, rules change, and language barriers cause confusion. Constructive feedback is good, and no country's system is perfect. However, sometimes rules aren't followed. For example, some wonder if the visa system is used for long-term living when it wasn't meant for that. It's also known that some visitors work without proper permission, or try to buy property or start businesses without following all the steps. These actions, whether intentional or not, challenge the system. And here's the thing. When rules are seen as being bent, authorities often tighten things up or add new rules to fix the problem. Unfortunately, these changes, meant to stop misuse, can sometimes create more hassle or paperwork for honest, law-abiding visitors trying to do things right. It's a tricky cycle where a few people's actions can impact many others. Still, it's key to separate these real issues from just expecting every place to be exactly like home. Travel means adapting, respecting local ways, understanding laws, and accepting that every country sets its own rules, and that these rules exist for reasons, are all vital parts of being a good and truly enjoyable traveler.
Thailand remains one of the world's most beloved destinations, drawing millions of people each year to its rich culture, delicious cuisine, breathtaking landscapes, and renowned hospitality. Like any nation, it has laws designed to balance tourism, public safety, immigration, and the interests of its residents. Before labeling a particular rule as unfair or unique, perhaps it's worth asking one simple question: would I think differently if this exact same rule existed in my own country, or have I simply never noticed it because it didn't apply directly to me? Sometimes the answer might still be yes, and that's okay, but surprisingly often, the answer is no. And recognizing that subtle shift in perspective can lead to a much deeper, more respectful, and ultimately more enjoyable understanding of not just Thailand, but of international travel in general.
Thank you for watching. Be sure to check out the related video on your screen for more fascinating content. Explore our channel for even more exciting videos. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Globe Gazette for more incredible stories. Your support means everything to us. We look forward to seeing you in the next video.